As Eugene Peterson stated in the 10th chapter of Luke's Gospel, we're told of a legal expert who sought a little clarification on the Hebrew legal code. The attorney asked Jesus, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, "Who is my neighbor?" He wanted to justify himself. I actually used some of the stuff we can find on the internet now to see all the different translations. Here was a new one I had never heard. But the man wanted to prove that he was all right. That was the Worldwide English. I thought it was kind of the cool relational version, but Worldwide English version says that. The Message says, and Eugene stated it from his own translation, looking for a loophole. Have you and I ever looked for loopholes when it comes to the Scriptures? The young attorney obviously knew that love of neighbor was mandated in the holy books. Leviticus 19:18 couldn't have been more clear, and I quote, "Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against one of your own people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord." So what exactly constituted a neighbor? Fairly clear. They were very clear in terms of who made it within the neighborhood circle. After all, what about your people? Didn't you understand? I'm reminded of a book by James Michener in the very early part of his writing career called The Fires of Spring. And in it, there's a small orphan boy who really is not making it in life. And so he's dumped into this quarter of the community which has a lot of creepy people. One of the women that he watches in the evening, since he's kind of junior high age, is this woman who catches flies in her hand. She shakes them up and then she throws them onto the table. You can do that if your hand is quick enough and the trajectory is such that you grab the fly, shakes it up, hits the table. He watches this, and then she pulls the wings off the fly. So it's really not a fly anymore, it's more like a walk. But anyway, it's running around this table. Then she takes a slur of spit and she puts that around the table, and so that the fly is in the middle of the table, kind of rummaging around, getting its bearings. And then when it crosses over the spit circle, she takes her finger and she smashes it. And she eats it when she gets 5. Kind of gross to us as adults, but to a junior higher, it's great sport. And so as he's watching this thing, he doesn't get the meaning of it. It's just weird and wonderful. Until later on, he's dating a young woman who he's becoming close to. The only bizarre part of this story is the closer he gets to her, the more the people around him turn away from him. And so he begins to wonder what's going on. He asks her, "What is the issue?" And she says, "Well, I was once poor like you, too. And my parents prostituted me to the men in the neighborhood. And the closer you come to me, the farther away they come to you." Jews by birth were in the circle. That's easy. But what about converts? What about those who were once outside the faith and now they're inside the faith? What about those who were never in the faith? Worse still, what about those who don't like the faith? Are they in the circle? Are they in the neighborhood? Do they belong? Neighborhoods need to have boundaries. After all, what are rules if you don't draw a line someplace? There's an advantage of distance when we compare ourselves with first century culture. It's easy to get down on the Jewish law interpretation until we actually consider our own cultural norms. Does anyone relate? There are numerous ways to divide up our world, those that are in the circle and those that are out.